Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Happy Friday and welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, WKYC style. We're here for 30 minutes. We've got plenty of topics to debate. First up, you've got one of the two owners that you would want to own all three sports teams in Cleveland. Do you want Haslam or do you want Dolan? Jason.
Woo, I'm Jason Lloyd. The Brown Stadium saga has taken another turn this week. The Browns are writing letters to the county again. We're going to talk about it. G.
Derek Carr. He's saying waving goodbye to the NFL for the New Orleans Saints. The Cleveland Browns got like 6 quarterbacks. Could they be a trade partner? Who knows? We'll find out.
Maybe they'll take Deshaun.
Maybe. No.
Maybe not.
Nah.
Plus, Caleb Williams and his father said some very interesting things to Seth Wickersham as they preview his upcoming book. And I'm curious, if a Browns player had said what Caleb Williams said about Chicago, how would these fans react? We'll get to that in a little bit. But, Jay, we're going to start with the topic you teed up. I got this from Twitter. It's actually a Twitter submission.
It's a great question.
Would you rather have all 3 Cleveland teams, the 3 professional teams, owned by Jimmy Haslam or Paul Dolan? We intentionally left Dan Gilbert off the list because that'd be an easy answer.
Everybody would take Dan Gilbert.
If the 2 options were Haslam or Dolan, who would you guys take?
Did anyone think this was a slam dunk easy answer?
Yes.
So did I.
Yes.
I did too. The opposite way you think.
Okay, so you go first because I have a feeling that Jason and I are on the same page.
Listen.
You're singing from a different song sheet, brother.
Yeah, man. It's as rough as it is, man. I like new shiny things. And I'm the captain of the Project Stockpile. I stockpile players in stadiums. So, therefore, I got all the players. I got all the facilities. And the bad part about it is, you may be a little mad. You guys would actually have to pay for it a little bit. So, I'm going to go with the Haslams, man.
Wow.
Hey, listen, they do a lot of things. I'll be mad at them 1 second. I say, dang on, man. You're supposed to get Travis Hunter. You passed on him. And then Shador's sitting there, and they was like, hey, G. Bush, we'll throw you a bone. Here goes Shador in the 5th round. And they going to give me my dome. They do a lot of crazy things. They would be the people that are on the block that are a little eccentric. But
a little.
But look at this rendering. The rendering is beautiful. I gotta get me some gear down there. I could have this one in a great arena. This would be great. They'll spend a bunch of money for your baseball team, Jay. Come on. They got all kind of power hitters ready to go. They got money to spend. You want that pitcher? You want that left-handed
then
power
they'd be
bat?
the Mets.
Right, and it's an enjoyable Delicium strikeout with high price.
I am surprised you got this one so terribly wrong.
Hey, listen.
I really, yeah. Now you're wearing the Browns shirt.
Yeah.
You clearly love the Browns more than you love the Cavs and the Guardians put together, and that's fine. A lot of people in the city do, but for me, this boiled down to one thing: do you want to win, or do you want drama that leads to losing? The results are in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. The Guardians win by spending minimoski, and the Browns lose by spending more than every other team in the NFL.
Yep.
Give me wins.
Yep.
I'm about results. And you know what? I'll go to the Muni lot to watch the Guardians play. I don't need a fancy, nice new stadium. It's not mine. I don't need that. I need wins in January. And I need for one time to play a football game in February. And I have zero confidence that this is the guy to deliver it.
Okay? Everything Jimmy touches crumbles. They buy the Bucks. 6 weeks later, they fire the coach. Now Giannis
and now their
is on
star
his way
wants
out.
to leave.
Like everything he touches just deteriorates and dilapidates on him. And the Guardians, we talked about during the YouTube show, Mike Chernoff, general manager, had the opportunity to go back home and be the GM of the New York Mets, be in charge, make all the decision making for his hometown team, the
And
team
have a
he
real
grew up
payroll.
rooting for. And he said, and have a real payroll. And he said, you know what? I'm good right here. The Browns' 2 highest paid players both said, I don't want to be in Cleveland. And Jimmy just kept throwing the money at him until he said, you know what? That's all right. Cleveland's not so bad. We'll take Cleveland. I will take the Dolans 1,001 times out of 1,000.
I'm with you.
But look at this, man. Listen, Jimmy is much better with coaches. He ain't fired Stefanski them yet. So you go.
Well, he did give an 0-16 coach a contract
There
extension.
it is. So say you got Stephen Vogt. He's going to keep him in place. And you tell Stephen, hey, man, which one of these players you want?
Let me
Can you
ask you this
imagine
question.
Stephen Vogt with the Haslam's money?
Let me ask you this question. Which organization is inept and which organization is competent? And those are the 2 adjectives, and you can't be on the fence.
No. The Guardians are a great run organization.
Competent.
Yeah, competent. Very competent.
Which organization is inept?
The Browns.
Thank you. Next case.
But I want their money. I want that bag. If you gave, think about what you could do with a competent
What have we
organization.
done? What has he done with it?
I mean, the Dolans ain't done nothing with this, with their savings accounts.
Well, they make the playoffs more often than not.
went to the World
If
Series.
that was the objective,
Well,
we're all in the same.
If that is the measuring stick, what are the Browns giving us?
Hey, 0. We're taking L's with a lot of places right now. The Cavs ain't doing nothing.
Your Honor, this case is
Cavs
solved.
ain't doing nothing. But I will tell you, they is gonna get a shiny new stadium. We'll talk about that later on. In the
How
show.
much different would the Dolans be viewed in town had they won the World Series in 2016?
Completely different.
And ownership didn't make it rain. Nobody made it rain. It never rained during the rain delay in Game 7.
They should have
Don't go there.
But I'm just like, ownership put them in position that year.
Yeah, to
like
win it.
It wasn't Paul Dolan's fault that they couldn't score one more run.
If Jimmy was in charge, he would have pulled all the strings. He would have called the governor, the mayor. Hey, listen, it's not raining down here. Get
Jay.
that damn tarp off the field.
Jay, are the Guardians the American League Dodgers? Or they rival
No.
the Yankees
Who?
if they had Jimmy's checkbook?
Oh, I
Oh,
see
yeah,
what you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Listen,
Oh, yeah.
Listen,
Oh, yeah.
And
there's a
Jimmy's
couple
checkbook.
elements to winning, okay? The first
Thank you,
one
Big Nuggets.
is money.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Money.
Nuggets.
It's a spending race. Now, in the NFL, you can spend what all of the teams can spend.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got an even playing field. And the Browns lose and lose colossally. In baseball, it's a spending race. Now, you could be the Mets and spend $300 million and suck. Or you can be the Guardians and spend $100 million and win your division and go to the playoffs more years than not. No, it's not enough to get them over the hump, but we're in the conversation. The Browns are not even in the conversation. And what's really sad about it is there is a spending limit in the NFL, allegedly.
Yeah.
Yet the Browns still spend more than every other team. So at the top of the list on dollars spent for your product is the Cleveland Browns. And at the bottom of the list, in terms of meaningful playoff games, is the Browns. That's hard to do, guys. You outspend everybody, but don't win.
What is it that I looked this up? I wrote about this. I think they spent $1 billion the last 4 years.
That's what you told us.
I think
You
it's
said
what
that,
it is, the last
and what
4
they have to
years.
show for it. And here's the thing: we talk about
This is what they have to show
the
for
Indians
it.
being close
0.
in 16, and they were.
Yeah.
The Browns were close in most of our viewers' lifetime. Once at Kansas City, they had them on the ropes, and that team is broken up and dissolved, and everybody's gone their separate ways, and we're 3-14.
Yeah.
So this was the easiest question in the history of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and I'm really sorry you got it wrong.
Hey, man, we looking good.
We still love you, though. Okay, interesting happenings this week in the stadium saga. More drama with the Browns. Jimmy wants a stadium. He wanted the city to pay for it. They were like, nope. He wanted the county to pay for it. They were like, nope. They went to the state, and when they went to the state, they brought in the Pope of the NFL, Roger Goodell. And they leave that meeting, and Jimmy's like, I got my money, and then fired off a letter to the county basically saying, I can't believe that you would stand in our way of having taxpayers build a rich man, a billionaire, maybe the richest man in the state, a new toy box. What do you make of all of this that happened? And should the county just stand up and admit defeat and just say,
Chalk it
it
up.
is what it is?
Well, it's happening. Like I was at the owners' meetings last month, March or whenever it was, And I told you, I asked Jimmy, if you don't get county cooperation, then what? And he said, we'll have ways to build it. He said, it's much better if everybody's on board and there's a partnership and there's cohesion, but we can get this done without their help. And I knew right then, as long as he gets the state money, as long as he gets the $600 million from the state, this is happening. So the letter that the Browns sent to the county yesterday, I joked with Mike, I said it was basically like Serrano in Major League, when he can't hit a curveball, and at the end, he looks at his bat and he says, I've defended you. I've tried to work with you. I say, bleep you, Joe Boo. I do it myself. And that's exactly what Jimmy is doing. He said, I tried with you guys.
But he's not doing it himself.
Well, he's got $600 million from the state, and the rest he's doing himself.
Man,
Yeah, but that's a big $600 million.
It is, but it's
the question
also-
is, would have it happened without the state $600 million?
I believe yes.
He would have written the check no
I
matter
believe
what.
Jimmy gets what Jimmy wants, whether it's Deshaun Watson, the Milwaukee Bucks, or a new stadium. Jimmy gets what Jimmy wants. So I believe he would have figured out a way to make it work regardless. But,
Yeah.
I mean, the $600 million will turn out to be about 25%, so it's a decent chunk. But he's covering the rest himself. It's
Yeah.
a big investment. I don't want to gloss over that. I do believe he should pay for the whole thing himself. I've said that 100 times. I'm on record.
Well,
you
rich
want it, you
people
build
should.
it. But he is building quite a bit of it himself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think
In
this is
L.A.,
happening.
it was all built by private funds.
It was.
I thought, though, give him credit, savvy move to bring in the commissioner to meet with the governor.
That was always in his back pocket.
Yeah,
That-
I'm
that
sure it
Trump
was.
part was
but,
always.
But, you know, he's a politician. That's what he is at the end of the day, and he got what he wanted.
This has been in the making for a long time. The state is run by his political party. He's donated a massive amount to that. So think about it in terms of this. If Amazon says, I want to move my world headquarters to your city, they're going to turn heaven and earth to get it done. They're going to give them tax-free this, that, and the third.
Well, not always.
But I will say.
There was a case where it was supposed to go to New York, and politicians stood up and said, we don't want you here.
There it is. But here's the thing. Jimmy has the right politicians behind him.
Yeah,
And if
that's
you
true.
don't have the right policy, you look at what he did. He basically was going to get that regardless. He had to put a little more money in if they said no, but he already knew he was going to go to the state. It's just like, hey, mom says you can't stay tonight over at Johnny's house. Well, listen, I'm going to catch Dad when he gets off that midnight shift, and he's going to tell me a different story because all he want to do is watch this Sports Center and eat that Salisbury steak and go to bed. So, yeah, Dad, whatever you want to do.
Salisbury State.
Whatever
So it's all about asking the right parent.
Right.
And Jimmy asked Mom, and Mom said absolutely not, and then snuck around Mom's back and went to Dad and said, yo, Pops, you got me on this one? And Pop's like, yeah, whatever you need,
Whatever you
son.
want, man. Here's just $20.
It's a great analogy.
Here's $20, man.
And I guess the right parent in this particular scenario is the state.
Yes, it is.
$600 million to a billionaire who bought stake in one of our other sports teams' competitors.
Now, Jay, you always know you're a smart businessman. You always use other people's money now.
It's just disgusting. It is. I'm sorry.
That's the capitalistic place that we live in. This is the way the NFL.
Capitalism would be using your own money to do it.
Yeah, the NFL
He's taking handouts.
is the biggest conglomerate in the game.
It's powerful,
and
man.
if they pull up and they show up at Capitol Hill, you're gonna
Socialism is a great drug in the NFL.
Yeah. Is it Mike Brown that owns the Bengals still?
Yeah.
He just
Brown
got
family.
whiplash. You know why? He heard what happened and he goes, oh, I'm going to my move now is to go to the governor and say, where's my $600 million?
Which is why I've been on board all along. I believe Mike DeWine had it right originally. Tax the gambling, and it covers all of this.
You're right about that.
better than
I agree
anybody.
with that. All right, we're taking a break. With the exception of the New Orleans Saints, the Browns probably have the worst quarterback room in the NFL. But there is the Saints. They need a quarterback, and we've got quarterbacks. Are they the perfect trade partner for the Browns? That's next.
They took Shook.
Yeah.
Until 51.
Good family. Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Derek Carr retires. Bombshell. I didn't see that coming. I knew he had some issues, but I just didn't see that he was ready to tap out. But when you look at things now with the New Orleans Saints, their quarterback room is in dire need of somebody. The Browns have somebody. They have Pickett or Flacco. Are they the perfect trade partners for the Browns here to get rid of one of these quarterbacks and perhaps pick up some assets?
They're on the short list. Tyler Shough is a guy that they drafted. Spencer Rattler is a guy who used to be actually the former number one quarterback. Went from Oklahoma, transferred to South Carolina. He played a couple games for him last year. But listen, when you got veterans, especially when you got Kenny Pickett, you got Flacco, those guys are viable candidates, viable guys. Now, would you see any chances that they would either trade Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders to the Saints?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think the Saints...
I mean, the Saints have some of those guys already.
Well, I mean, they took Tyler Shough. I think they knew before the draft where this was headed. I don't think the Saints woke up and were surprised to hear Derek Carr was retiring. There was, I think, a little bit of a fallout between Carr and the organization. Then he's got the shoulder injury on top of it and everything else. So I think that they were preparing for this going in. They've already got one rookie. Listen, we've joked about how old Tyler Shough was during the pre-draft process and all this. He could start day one. He's, 26, 25, 26 years old?
26.
What are you waiting? What are you saving him for?
Facts.
If he's not ready now, then he's never going to be ready. So I don't think the Saints are looking for a starting quarterback. I think they're looking for a backup quarterback. And who knows, with Spencer Rattler, I don't think they're planning on going anywhere this year necessarily.
They might be in the Manning sweepstakes,
Yeah,
too.
I don't think that they're looking at this as like some big contention window and we got to go out and get protection for Tyler Shough in case he's not ready, in case he goes down. They have a second-round pick invested. If he flops, if they bomb and they have a bad year, okay, fine. They're in the quarterback derby next year.
Yeah.
So I actually don't think the Browns and Saints are necessarily a great matchup for them because I don't think they were surprised by Carr, and I don't think they're really looking for another quarterback right now.
I think they're in tank mode. We talk about gentleman's punt. We talk about, what are the Browns going to do? It's obvious now to me because I'm slow on the take. It's obvious now to me that what they're doing. They have no desire to win football games. They're in exploratory mode. What do we have at quarterback? What do we have at wide receiver? What do we have at running back? What do we have moving forward? Which of these parts are salvageable and which do we need to send to the junkyard and go back and buy new parts? But of the two, I think the Saints are better equipped to suck and suck colossally. Also, it's interesting. Archie Manning infamously played for the New Orleans Saints at a time when they were absolutely abysmal. And Archie was this great quarterback, and we never really got to see how good he could have been. Could he have been Peyton if he had a supporting cast? I don't know. But it's almost like history is coming back around full circle. And I know he's not. Archie is his grandfather. And it almost seems to me like the Saints are like, we want another crack at getting the Manning thing right. And to me, it all seems to be lining up for them to go 1-16.
Will he give it to him?
And I don't know. That's the big, you know what? If there was we hear all the time like Eli and Archie kind of, said, look, we're not going to San Diego.
Right.
Don't draft us.
Right.
I think that this would be an instance where Archie could intervene and say, let's do this. Let's go back to New Orleans and try to, because I think he was fond of the city. He raised his kids in Louisiana.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know. I think that they don't want to be good.
The Manning thing is a multi-step process. We're going to have this discussion multiple times between now and next year. Number one, is he good enough?
Number two, will he come out?
And who holds the number one pick very well may determine if he comes out or not. If it is New Orleans and there are deep family ties and he wants to go back, maybe he does come out to go play there. If it's Cleveland, they may look at that and say, nope.
Yep.
Well, another year of school.
We're passing.
Another year at Texas isn't so bad after
We know the
all.
Manning family can orchestrate that.
Yeah, they've done it in the past.
All right, we're taking a break. Caleb Williams, it's come out in an upcoming book with Seth Wickersham, had some very interesting thoughts about going to Chicago. What if a quarterback had done that here in Cleveland? How would the fan base respond? That's next.
Perfect. We got this for about 6 minutes to end the show. Jay,
Everything with him's a guess.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Interesting book coming out from Seth Wickersham. McNugget, set this up and give us your scenario. What if that had happened here?
Yeah, so in an upcoming book called American Kings, A Study into the Quarterback, Seth Wickersham talked to a bunch of quarterbacks, including Caleb Williams and his father. And in the preview of the book, trying to stir up some interest, these were some of the snippets that ESPN wrote about to draw up some interest in the book. So, Ann, if you want to take these full here. The first quote comes from Carl Williams, Caleb's father, saying, "Chicago is the place quarterbacks go to die. Carl Williams, Caleb Fowler, told Seth Wickersham, author of American Kings. Later in the excerpt, Seth Wickersham wrote, but Caleb was concerned that if they did try and the Bears refused to trade him, it would make a tough situation worse. In the end, Caleb Williams told Wickersham, I wasn't ready to nuke the city. What you don't see there is Carl, Caleb's father, saying that they looked into numerous different ways to circumvent the draft and force their way to another team,
including
the Minnesota Vikings, a division rival.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to, as Caleb said, nuke the city, they decided to just accept it, head to Chicago.
They looked at legal action. They looked at like the
Everything.
United Football League.
Going to play in Canada or UFL or
The
whatever.
UFL. So my question to make this Cleveland-based, because we're a Cleveland-based show, what if a Browns player did that? What if the Browns had drafted a quarterback and a year later it came out that he had said these things about not
That he
wanting
was trying to go to Pittsburgh.
Listen,
example.
Browns fans are so desperate they wouldn't care. They wouldn't care if he
Right
plays
on.
well. Now, if he doesn't play well,
It's
they
over.
boo him out of the stadium.
Yeah.
But if he played well, I'd be like, you know what? That's
He was
fine.
young. Took him out of context.
Yeah, not a big deal.
Yeah,
We always look the other way. don't we?
Yeah, if he was, it all depends. If he was, like the kid from the Commanders, and he came in and
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels, he came in and was a monster. No one would care. We'd just be like, well, that was. We'd actually call it fake news. We'd be like, that never happened.
Seth's making it up,
He made it up. He has an axe to grind. But if he
even
was,
though he's quoting the dad.
right, word for word on tape. But if he comes out and he sucks, his career is basically over. I'm gonna tell you why. In Cleveland, bro, for a team that don't win, and that's not a really large city, we go crazy. Like the fans, there's a certain amount of population that if you get on their bad side, especially when it says I don't want to play in your city and I want to play in Pittsburgh, it's over.
Yeah.
They're gonna just wait. You could win 5 years in a row, and they're gonna wait till you have a bad year and get you up out of here.
I don't know about that.
I mean, 5 years in a row winning that Super Bowls.
We've never experienced 5 years of winning in a row. So
like you mean winning records?
yeah,
That's crazy.
we don't do that here.
That's wild.
And now look, they don't do
that's
that in
wild.
Chicago anymore either. But once upon a time, they did.
Didn't Bernie have 5 years of winning records?
I don't think so. That sounds like something we have not
Somebody
accomplished
look
since
this
Jim
up.
Brown
This
played.
is crazy.
86, 87, 88, 89, 90, maybe 85,
Maybe.
86, 87, 88, 89.
If
I don't know.
If you pull
I can tell you this: it hasn't happened since.
I mean,
then.
I'm going back, what, 40 years to
40
find
years.
it?
So in the new Browns organization, you are correct. That was the old Browns.
I don't know that we've had 3 winning seasons in a row in the new Browns organization.
I don't either.
I don't think we have. I would bet that we have not.
You have not won a division
Because Baker was checkerboarding years.
Yeah.
10-6, 6-10,
Yeah.
8-8, whatever they
You're
were.
right.
We don't win like that. And so if you won 5 years in a row, yeah, you could suck for 5 years in a row
That's
too.
crazy.
We gave a coach an extension after 0-16.
have not won the division since '89. That is like
You
it's
said
almost
5
hard.
years?
Yeah.
5 years.
I'm on it. Stand by.
All right.
I mean, they tried winning from 2018 through 2024, and they got one playoff win.
One.
In a 7-year contention window.
Tried the
They
hardest.
got one playoff win.
Spent the most
And broke
money.
up the band.
Spent the most money.
Spent
in
the
history.
most money in the
I
history.
found it.
All right, here we go.
The last time the Browns had 5 winning seasons in a row.
Yeah.
It was longer than 5. It was 63-69.
That's what that's
63
Jim
to
Brown. That was
69.
the Jim Brown era.
What were they, 85 to 89?
They had 1 year in there where they were either 8-8 or 7-9.
They went 4 years in a row, but 85 was 8-8.
8-8. Yeah.
86, 12-4, 87, 10-5, 88, 10-6, 89, 9-6, which gives you the 4.
And what was
Yeah.
90?
3-13.
Yeah, we fell off that cliff real hard.
Was that might have been the
Bud
51-0 Pittsburgh win. And
Might have
then-
been.
And then it
Yeah.
unraveled after that.
It's really hard to believe that how inept this organization, with different owners, different coaches, different GMs, different quarterbacks, the one constant has been losing. And so if you had a guy that came in here, if we had found out that Baker, for instance, had said before, anywhere but Cleveland, and he had Pop saying, is there any chance you can get us to Pittsburgh? After his Jets coming out party and that first season where he took us to the playoffs, we'd have been like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
He wants to be here now. He loves it now.
Listen, that never happened.
And that was just one season.
Yeah.
So what the stunning thing to me is that this is coming out. All NFL dads, please hear this. Be quiet. When has a dad intervened and it's worked out well? When have we said
Archie Manning
Once.
Man,
got Eli to New York. Won a Super Bowl. Won 2 Super Bowls.
Once.
true.
And that might be the only one.
That might be the only one.
But hey,
The
But
OBJ dad thing worked out real well, didn't it?
Archie Manning had the NFL juice also that none of
did.
these other dads
you
had.
can't get
So
that
that's a rare
off.
example.
Don't you try. You not Archie. You better stop.
Yeah, that's only one guy can do that. You gotta be royalty. All right, we're out of time. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the beautiful weather that we're gonna have today, and the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show will be back on Monday. Peace and go Guards.
Yes, sir.